So, without any delay, let's begin this session that is about how we can move from LLMs workflows to actual AI agents that help us in autonoming our businesses. So, just let me share my screen before I proceed further. I hope my screen is visible to all. Yeah. So today we'll talk about agentic workflows. That is how moving from LLMs to autonomous business agents will help us today. Today we are not only going to talk about how to write better prompts and how to do stuff, but rather than actual AI autonomous agents that we have to do. So let's proceed further. That's the era of delegated AI. And I'm your host, Harshil Arora, working as data science engineer. So over the 2025 passive era, we were only having prompt engineers, the static text outputs, and we were waiting on the users to manually input AI, chat with AI, and then some output can be received, and then that output can be used for the AI processing. But today in 2026, the era is everything about the agentic. That's goal oriented pipelines, your asynchronous scripts, and the system mutation that will eventually accelerate the ROI. ROI is nothing but the return on investment that today's businessmen are hardly interested in. Well, this saves up to 98% of tedious transactions with cycles. Let us talk about how. Like, what is the great pivot over here, right? From typer to doer. How can you just stop chatting with AI and just start delegating, transferring your responsibilities to it? So, the high tech typewriter trap is that every businessman or every engineer falls into. What most companies do today, they are all using LLMs for what? Writing emails, drafting a copy, and then basic editing, like doing the heavy stuff and then just moving those copied ChatGPT or Gemini text to their actual work. But in the year 2026, it's not about the rapidly prompt changes, but it is about building the AI that actually do something, right? Like giving the Claude AI your permission to your file explorer. It's just go into your files, check about what a to-do list says today, go to the web scrapping, do web scrapping, and then assign what your role have to be done by today. So that's about sovereign enterprise delegation. You just input your task goal, the core brain planner decides what to do, the automated tool executes it, the DB state modifies it, and then you can just go with a Slack signature, one time press button, yes, that this is approved, and then that's success. That's eventually zero latency, and this is called actual end to end automation. Well, before going to what we are going to do or what we are learning today, let us understand what is the current limitations of reactive assistance. What is the current limitation of why I am saying not just go to ChatGPT, type your prompt, not just go to Gemini and ask what you are going to do. This is because ChatGPT prompts and Gemini, or even though anything you are chatting with an AI, is all nothing but passive and a synchronous loop. This is a loop you'll never end with. You'll just go, chat, have some output, copy that output, and paste. But today we are talking about agency. This system is not having any agency. This is zero system agency. But the reactive chatbot trap loop is whatever having is passive wait, the isolation, and what is the bottleneck over here? The bottleneck is human only is acting as a copy clipboard, nothing else. So just let us change the script. Let us flip the script. Well, this is about the rise of the proactive delegate. We have to initiate the active and asynchronous execution. What I mean with that is you dictate the final goal, just the final goal to our AI agent. The agent itself runs in the background, logs the process, and notifies you when it's done. It's that simple. On that notification, you have just to read and then approve it or reject it. Well, this is the power of self correction. No native capability to change the state of ERP, and this requires human actual bridges rather than just copy pasting. Well, here it comes. What is the proactive workflow of the engine logic? So that's divided into two phases, phase A and phase B. Phase A is nothing but task planning and discrepancy scoping. And then phase B, we have Python compiler tools that basically audits and then completes your output logs. So, next I'm bringing to the table a real case study, that's chatbots versus the agent. Why I'm comparing this is because businesses are more interested in comparing sources and price reconciliations. As I earlier mentioned, the higher the ROI, that is the only reason you will be interested in using agents versus chatbots. Well, the sourcing challenge is very, very simple. Let us understand, like, compiler a compile competitor is just about how raw and what are the factory supplies, for example, and just we have a simple task. We just have to verify the factory supply minimums, and we have to prepare a draft that our SAP order forms can consider. Now, if I would be in 2025, I'll go to my chatbot, I'll just input a raw draft, I'll just open the SAP manually, copy that raw draft, whatever the chat GPT or the AI that I'm using gave me, and then the whole work is on human. This would actually take 1 to 2 days with proper reconciliation and proper, like, in a final format. But what if I had used an agent over here? Well, it is automated supply triggers. I'll just input my DB to it. Then a dynamic vendor endpoint scrapping. It will scrap the web. It will give me the vector endpoints. It will vendor endpoints. It will give me the vendors list. What is the supply minimums? What is the minimum? If it's less than 15%, it will just ping all the vendors that this is the raw material that's needed. It will initiately instant digital SAP drafts, and then it will complete the draft and just give me a final report that I have to approve or reject. So it's that simple. Simple end-to-end execution, a real case study. Well, to implement all this, to implement agents, we would naturally be knowing, in keen knowing, like how an agent works or what is the actual anatomy of an autonomous agent. So, let us have a deep dive in the structural pillar of an agentic operation. Basically, there's just four key components. That's the core, that's the brain, dynamic planner and memory, the toolkit interfaces, and the fourth one is the integrated the reasoning planner. So the number one is about the core brain. So let me just give an example, a very simple example. If I would be chatting to a chatbot, I will be writing like, hey, I'm visiting Paris, I'm in Paris, I love to eat, and just give me some cafes. What would be the output of the chatbot? It will just give me a list of the cafes that's famous in Paris and what to eat, and it will just suggest me itinerary, go visit the Eiffel Tower and whatnot. But what if I had designed an agent to it, my own travel agent, that would not only give me an itinerary but will do web scraping all over the Paris, give me the list of the cafes, will ensure that at what time the cafe's tables are free, is that time is scheduling with the my free time. It would also go and look into the hotels. If the rooms of the hotels are free, it would itself book my hotels, and then it will just come to me with an approval, do you want to book this hotel and this cafe? So this is about a personal agent. So why, if the agent, a personal agents can lessen your task by such huge sums, why not we can execute it in the businesses? So coming back to the anatomy, we have the core brain, that is actually the large language model, or the LLMs, that is the multimodal models. So as the coordinator, we really have to validate the constraints, we really have to choose our brain very wisely. If you want your task to be in a very brief, detailing manner, go with Google, go with Gemini. If you want your task to be very summarized and very summarization and very keen and very pinpoint to the logic and everything, or maybe in the code, etc., go with Claude AI. And if you wanted a bit of the more innovations and everything, go with ChatGPT. The core brain, this is your decision. And then we have the dynamic planner and memory. An agent is nothing without a planner and a memory. Dynamic planner breaks your goals. For example, the agent I give, it breaks the goals where I have to live, where I have to eat, what is my schedule, and whatnot. That is dynamic planner. And memory. If memory is not an agent, how would it memorize that what have been done and what has to be done, what has to be do? So, and the last we have the toolkit interface. For example, the web scraping tool, the query debugging tool, or maybe the monitoring my calendar tool and ERP webhooks and the other stuff. So I hope I'm clear with the anatomy of the autonomous agent. Well, the next we have the tool use revolution. Here I will just give very simple examples of some of the tools because tools are the most powerful component of an autonomous agent. Well, the strategic shift is about like giving the AI ability to interact with the digital world. How would it do? Agent is the only AI is the only brain, but the toolkits are like hands and legs of an AI. Hence, it makes it to an autonomous agent. So, well, let us give my AI the capability to interact with the digital world, just giving him or her or it, sorry, the tools. So, let us get to know with some of the tools. For example, I have an SQL database injection link. It will just go into my database, whatever business I'm having. For example, I'm having a SAP business. It will just go into it, study the factory material, and it will come back with all the database inventory scrapping. Now the power is in my hands. Do I only want to read from my database agent, or I only want to update and write? Well, I'll prefer going with read. And then we have some Python compiler sandboxes. Well, in today's world, we are shifting from normal coding to vibe coding and vibe coding to agentic coding. Agentic coding is nothing but giving your AI the power of Python sandbox, and hence the Python code can be written, executed in itself by the AI. Next, we have some web scraping tool, one of the famous tool that today industry is using worldwide. Instead of hallucinating or instead of being not sure about what next output the AI will give, we will give the AI agent the web scraping, the power to scrap the web, to go with all the web pages, all the web hooks, and come with a with a very confident answer that yes, this is the answer for what you were looking. And then we have some enterprises gateway. For example, whatever the businesses I'm doing, I'll just go and create a gateway, a fast API or endpoint that would really give my AI the ability to interact with the outside world. That's the use of the tool, and that's the tool user evolution. Well, next I'm just coming on the table with some examples of like why I'm talking so much about agents, why we are at KSOLs talking everything about agents, because where the tech giants are like really betting big. This is because in today's edition, Microsoft, say Salesforce, say Google, or say any other bigger tech giants, they're all talking about autonomous agents. This is because we have Microsoft Copilot Studio that is eventually having Copilot Studio orchestration in each and every feature that Microsoft is bringing. And then we have Salesforce Agentforce. Agentforce platform is basically that moving the CRM dashboards to autonomous reps and capable of querying deals. And then we have Google and Gemini. We all know that Gemini is being very, very powerful, like outside of the powerful in PPTs, Excel sheets, everything that Google has to give us, like BigQuery, any live data, any sheets, any webhooks. Gemini is being inculcated into the same. So if the tech giants are going big, why we stay small? Why we stay a one step behind, right? So, the ROI, let us talk more about ROI, because in today's world, businessmen are more interested in what you're bringing to the value of like why using agents over chatbots. Eventually, one of the famous questions I come to is using an agent will cost me more, and then I have to take a separate 15 minutes to make him or her understand that no, using an agent is actually costing you per job less rather than using an LLM workflow. Like, how's it? Let us understand. For example, whatever you are using a workflow, you are using an LLM. It is nothing but time saved drafting. Whatever time you were taking as a human, for example, 1 to 2 days, it would be lessened to say 30 minutes or say 1 hour, and that will that would still include the manual work hours. You have to still approve, you have to still copy paste the output, you have to still go to your SAP worksheets, and you have to still manually enter those things, right? But what if we give this to the agent? What if we delegate the task to the agent? Well, the API rate, trust me, it's less than 1.20, and the completion time, it's just 2 to 5 seconds. And don't talk about accuracy, it's really 99.9%. Hence the total cost comes to $1.20 only. Hence we are transitioning from time saved drafting that the LLM workflows were given to actual cost per job that agentic AI would be giving us. So that's the ROI. That's the new calculus of AI ROI. We just have to shift. We just have to make our minds clear that no, time saved drafting is nothing, but the cost per job taken, if that is less, why not we go to Agentic AI? Well, next I'm bringing to table a case study. Well, two case studies in the real time I've been doing from past days. The number one is the transitioning. Okay, the autonomous customer support, that is the case study for the smart case triage. Well, this is about like it. What it does is it reads. Let us first understand what is autonomous customer support and what about the customer experiences. From static templated links to real customer operations, we would be discussing this case study. Okay, so the smart case triage. This is about like reads my. I'm in an autonomous customer support system. We can also take an example of Salesforce, the ticketing system, but let us stick to an autonomous customer support word. That's enough, I guess. And what it does for right now, it reads the incoming complaint. For example, it audits every logs and it have to also rectify the history and come to a solution. So if this task have to be done by a human, a ticket solving progress will all process would be taking like roughly 3 to 5 days or even more. But if I give this task to an LLM workflow, it would still be taking 1 to 2 days or 8 hours or 16 hours, say. But what if I just delegate this task completely to an autonomous AI agent? So, what would I do is I'll give the goal agent a goal that yes, this is you are an autonomous customer support. Your task is to highest hire the customer satisfaction to solve the tickets and to then audit the delivery logs and then finally complete or update the SAP sheet that I'll be giving you. Okay, then we have this. What would the agent do? Agent will naturally receive every ticket or every customer complaint from the history by using RAG or any AI method or using any AI business tool. It would just go, it would scrap the history too, it would use our SQL tool too, it would use the SAP tool too, and it would come to a solution. And in the end of this solution, you just have to see and you just have to approve or reject that yes, this solution is correct, this solution can be applied to this customer support, and then the customer experience can be enhanced. And what time did it took? In real it would really take less than 5 seconds. So that's really about some actual case studies that we are that are going in the market right now, and that is so much of agents and autonomous agents. Well, as soon as we talk about AI, whether it's chatbot or whether it's AI agents or whether anything, the most common question I would be facing is safety. How it is safe? Is the AI safe enough? Are you using security? Are you using the bridges? Are you not giving the read and write access? What to do? Well, a very simple answer to your security is HITL. That's nothing but human in the loop. You as a human have to act as the uppermost layer of whatever AI is doing. You should architect safe, reliable, and auditable AI workflows. Whatever AI agent is doing, the end human is you. You have to architect that solution that's really safe and really reliable that your customers can trust you. Then, how can you introduce the safety and guardrails? Well, the very first is restrict the access to your sandboxes. Whatever you are using, if you are using a DB, whether it's SQL or NoSQL, restrict the access to read only. No write, no updates, only read. Then Second comes the HITL signatures. Whatever the AI agent is doing, do not just let it, the agent let to just come to a conclusion and just update something. No, have a HITL, have a human in the loop, reject or approve it. I'm saying that again and again, reject or approve it. And in just one button click, the AI agents comes to a conclusion. Then we have immutable execution auditing. If one time you have done a database query, you have done a Python code string and everything, just isolate it. Do not let it mutable again and again. Do not let it to be a tuple, right? And then we have some physical verification required, like whatever the transaction limits and other stuff. But the only safety or guardrails by using an AI, whether it's in workflow, whether it's an agent, you can only introduce one thing, and that's you yourself, the reliable human that is actually making AI works. Well, next we have the strategic blueprint to agentry. We have talked enough about what's AI, why agents, why not workflows, and why what's the ROI, how it's bringing the ROI higher. But what's the actual blueprint to agentry, right? What is the four-step action plan that will just construct your autonomous workflows? So, number one is the log workflows, audit manual files, and legacy data streams. Whatever you are having in your businesses, whatever, like trust me, whatever, just audit those files. And then we have API gates. Make your API gateways, make your secure CRMs, whatever database, just give them read access, no write access. And then orchestration, orchestrate your whatever agentic feedbacks and loops and algorithms you are having, orchestrate that to the agent, to the AI. And the last but not the least step, as I said in the previous slides, that is the HITL signature. Place a VIP or a higher business agent, higher business human agent at the top for the final deployment. So that's a strategic plan to blueprint. And whenever you go and decide that yes, today I'll introduce agents to my business, just don't go with introducing agents in every workflow. No, come with one workflow first of all, and then introduce it in the every other workflow, otherwise it will go into a boom. Well, the horizon is something about multi-agent swarms. We are not only going with one agent at a time, we are going with multi-agent swarms. For example, I am having a factory where there are two tasks running in simultaneous. Number one is I have to be very sure of the customer support, whatever customers are making my businesses, whatever customers are purchasing from me. And number two is I also have to keep an eye on the raw material. If the raw material goes less, I have to directly call to the vendor and increase the supply. So I can delegate two different agents to this task. The number one, the one agent who keeps an eye on the raw material, to every like every construction material I can ever think of. And then the second who keeps an eye on the customer support, what's the customer experience, what's the customer's feedback, and whatever the feedback is here, we can directly add to the agent workflow. So that's the horizon coming in future, that's multi-agent swarms. Instead of just having one agent, we can have multiple agent, a multi-agent swarm pool. And then we can really reach our businesses to our heights, to some heights that humans, we as a humans, are a bit incapable of, I would say. So that was all about how to introduce autonomous AI agents in your businesses. If any one of you are having any of the questions, I would be happy to help.